Hey guys, welcome back to part 7 of Project Wally. In this episode, we're going to be pretty much finishing up this project. As you can see, I'm sitting inside of the Jeep right now, which I am extremely happy to have drivable again. But we're going to mainly be focusing on getting the seam sealer down on all the welds and patch panels, and then we're going to be Raptor lining the Jeep and reassembling it. So let's go ahead and dive into the video and wrap up this project. Okay, so I kind of figured this would happen after I hosed it down. Got a little light surface rust on everything now that wasn't painted. So I'm going to give that probably just a light little wire wheeling and try and keep the dust down. And then I'm going to paint all of it with the primer and then probably put a coat of paint over the primer. Maybe, I don't know, I haven't decided. And yeah, after that, I think I'm going to just move on to starting to sand everything so I can Raptor line it. Alright, just a quick and dirty cleanup and then slap some paint down. Not too bad. So the next thing I think I'm going to do is get the roll cage set up in here. And then when it's sitting in here, I can kind of prop it up and I'll seam seal all in here and then set it down, get a good squish, and then seam seal around it too. And then I'll do the rest, like the fronts and the back. The other front and the back. And once I get all the seam sealer in there, I need to look at how long it says it needs to dry, but I'm hoping it's maybe like 4 or 5 hours, and then at the end of the day here, maybe around 5 or 6 o'clock, I can get out here and Raptor line it and then let that dry overnight, and hopefully tomorrow I can start putting the interior back in. All right, so the next step is going to be to seam seal it. Here's a look at the seam sealer I got. So I'm going to go in there, squirt a healthy amount on every line of welds I did and any seam from where I overlapped new panels. And then I'll probably go put on a rubber glove and just really smear that stuff on there thick and get it laid down good. And then after that, I'll be doing the Raptor liner. Okay, so the plan is to take the seam sealer and lift the cage up just a little bit and then put seam sealer all around the welds down there and underneath the cage. And then do that on both sides, lower the cage back down, seam seal the top of the foot anyway, and then move on and do the rest of it. So let's hop into a little time lapse here and get to it. Alright, so I slathered that stuff on there pretty good, or at least I hope I slathered it on there pretty good. And then I put the cage back down and I bolted it. And how it was factory, they had this slathered on top, the seam sealer all on top of the foot of the roll cage. I almost did it and then I thought about it and I was like, that's a stupid idea, because I keep touching sticky stuff. There's a hole in the bottom of this foot, right in the middle of this cage here. And any water that gets in will just drain down there, and then if I seam sealed it, it would all be stuck in there, and it's probably another reason why the floor rotted out so bad. So I'm not going to do that. And then I sprayed a little more paint on this on both sides, and I'm going to seam seal the back side of this too, and then put some up in here as well. And yeah, I don't know, I might walk around and look for some other places to use the rest of that seam sealer on. I also put a few of the bolts in on the front here, so I'm going to go ahead and get the bolts and probably go ahead and bolt down the back sides and then where this little crossbar connects to the windshield. Just realized I had that on the front microphone the whole time. Sorry about that. Also, really glad I labeled these because it made this really easy to remember what's what. Next step is going to be sanding down the bed to prep it for the Raptor liner. I'm going to use this on as much as I can, and then I'll get out a little sanding block and do the rest by hand. I'm not going to go too crazy, just the really nice smooth stuff like this. I'm going to try and scuff up so it'll stick real good. Okay guys, so I've got everything taped off that I'm going to tape off. I put some plastic bags over the shifter, the steering wheel, and then the handbrake. I'm not going to go too crazy, and I didn't go too crazy with taping it off. I'm not even sure how high I want to paint yet. I'm just about ready to just start spraying the Raptor liner and figuring out as I go. I'm not going to be too crazy. Like, I taped off just little things, just some pedals, where you plug in to check your codes. I put tape over that to keep anything out of there. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of wing it and see how high I feel like spraying. I took time to sand and prep everything as well. I did it mostly by hand because the orbital sander was just making it bare metal and I didn't want to strip everything down that much. I pulled my wiring harness up and out of the way. I pulled all my other wires up and out of the way. I'm not gonna be too careful. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be that precision of a job. I'm just gonna spray and pray. This has pretty much sucked the life out of me the last couple of months, so I just want to get it done, and I'm no longer that concerned with making it a beautiful thing because I don't think it'll ever be a beautiful thing again. And trail rig, so yeah, not any real point in making it something beautiful. So yeah. Let's move on to mixing the Raptor liner. Okay, so the bottle of Raptor liner, the actual paint, you gotta open that up. It's two-part. You have a hardener. They use 8 ounces. They gave me a cup marked 8 ounces. All right, so I'm gonna dump 8 ounces into the cup. Then you take the 8 ounces, dump it into the bottle. And then it says to put the lid on and shake for 2 minutes. Please leave your tip in the tip jar. I bought the kit that came with the little spray gun and you just attach it. It was in about 3 pieces, this straw and this straw. I just had to screw on. And then it came with like a screw-on adapter. I put a quick connect on there for my air hose. And it says to keep it about 40 to 60 PSI when you're spraying. It's exhausting. Good enough, I guess. So now I'm going to put you guys in a hyperlapse so I can listen to music while I'm doing this because I'll get copyrighted if I don't. Here we go. Okay, so here's a quick look at the first coat of Rhino liner. I think I'm going to do at least 2, but even with 1, it looks pretty good. You can see I obviously did not care about the roll bars. They're going to be under padding anyway. I am going to put the padding back on, so I just kind of didn't bother even trying to make a clean line, nor even just a clean line would look stupid too. So Yeah, the rhino liner looks really good. I'm actually very impressed with how good it looks and how easy it went on. And let me jump back because I keep saying rhino liner and it's Raptor liner. Yeah, so the Raptor liner looks fantastic. Yeah, it sprayed real easy. One thing that got me is there's a little breather hole on the top of the gun where it screws into the bottle, and I was tilting a few times to get up into those weird angles, and I dumped a little stream of the liner on there, but I quickly blotched it off with a rag, and then I sprayed over top of it, and the way the stuff sprays so thick and textured, it pretty much disappeared, so not an issue. But yeah, I'm very happy with this. I think it looks pretty good. In the front there, I just kind of got up behind the pedals and sprayed up. I didn't go up all the way, just up enough where I think water would possibly get to, or mud or whatever. I think I am going to do a little bit more over there where those wires are. I didn't want to spray the wires too much, so I just kind of missed that area. And then the more I sprayed, the more I got comfortable spraying, and the more I didn't care about spraying a little bit on some stuff, so I got a little higher on this side. But yeah, all in all, I'm liking it. I think it looks really good. So to do this, it only took me exactly 2 bottles, and the kit I bought has 4 bottles, so you can get exactly 2 thick, heavy coats out of this on a TJ's tub if you want to. So I taped off the tailgate and covered up my rack, and I'm about to go ahead and just spray this one in real time for you. Okay, so it's the next day now, and here's the Jeep's interior with everything untaped and the bag off, or all the plastic bags off of everything, and it looks really good. It's got a little texture to it. It's a lot smoother than I expected. I don't know why, I just kind of expected more of a gritty feel. You can definitely feel the raised texture in it, but it's very slick, kind of like a plastic, which maybe it is plastic, I don't know. So my plan for today is to start to reassemble everything. I think I'll begin with the middle console here, and then probably remount the wiring harness and run the wires back up the roll cage for the speakers and lights. And then I will probably just focus on the roll cage, put the soundbar back in, and then all the padding on the roll cage all around. And then from there, I'll probably go ahead and put the seats back in. There's a couple of little things I need to button up, like my Savvy shifter cable mounts up here, and it's just kind of dangling in there, so I'll have to remount that. There's a few bolts in the roll cage I still need to do. I don't want to put the security Torx bits back in this side. I need to go find something with the same threads and length to put in there. One other minor issue that I've noticed is that side lines up. This side, probably because I did the torque box and the floor pan, is just maybe not even a 1/4 of an inch off, so the cage is sitting up a little higher than the bracket, so the bolt hole isn't centered, it's partially blocked. So since I've already mounted everything in here and there's not a whole lot I can do, I will probably just cut a little bit off the top of this bracket so the bolt can fit through. Not an ideal solution, but I also don't care that much, so I would just want a bolt in there to help kind of hold everything in place where it's supposed to be. So I think it's time to jump in. I'll probably put you guys on a nice little time lapse while I do this hour to 3 hours worth of work, depending on how motivated I am. Alright, so here is a look at the Jeep mostly back together. There's still a bunch of little things I have to do. I'm going to put the doors back on, the half doors. I got to put the top back on. I got to put my rack back in the back, my cargo rack. I put the new tires and rims on just to see what they look like. I do not have the new axles on yet, but they actually drove really smooth and quiet, better than I expected. And I didn't notice a whole lot of reduction in power. I will have to buy a new speedometer gear to go on my transmission because my speedometer is off again, so that's always fun. I did take it out for a quick drive last night, just around the neighborhood and then up to get some food. And yeah, first time I've driven it in a few months. Felt really good. Everything's looking pretty good. It's coming along. Now I can't remember if I said it, but I plan on bondoing this area to smooth it out because I got a lot of little grinding divots in there, and you know, I'm not perfect at body work by any means, so it just needs filled. And I'm mainly doing that so when I put the rocker guards on there, there aren't any spots to hold water or mud to rot it from. So I'm going to smooth it out with some Bondo, and then I'll probably go to like Sherwin-Williams or somewhere and see if I can get some color matched paint for my color Jeep, the light khaki metallic. And I'm going to spray the black too, and just cover it up, put a clear coat on it to help protect it. The best part of this is I finally got it back together, and it's supposed to rain today, so so no topless day for me. It's pretty exciting. The seats were a pain in the ass to put in. The passenger one wasn't too bad. The driver's side one, because I changed out the rear floorboard, that has 2 of the bolts on it, and it just didn't quite line up anymore. It wasn't terrible to get all 4 in. It was just kind of a pain in the ass because I have that lock box under the seat. So if you add that in with the holes being slightly misaligned now, it was a struggle. The roll cage wasn't too bad to put back on. Luckily I labeled all the foam and everything. I just wrote right on it. I labeled the bolts and everything. It made putting this back together a lot easier. I'm really glad I did that. So if you're doing the same thing, taking it all apart, I strongly recommend you label everything, because this is the first time I've probably done that in my life because I'm a bum. And so I normally end up with just a million bolts and I have to spend forever trying to figure out where everything goes and trying to put it back together like a puzzle. But this time I actually labeled stuff and took care because I knew this was going to be a long project and I knew I'd forget where everything went, but I got it all back together. I think I want to take a week break, maybe not even a full week. I just want to drive it for a few days and not work on it for a few days. But I'm going to, I think, attempt the fenders possibly this weekend, or at least look at starting it. I haven't totally decided. The axles I'll probably end up doing in a week or two. I'm going to have a buddy come over and help me with them because the axles are pretty heavy, so it'd just be nice to have an extra set of hands to maneuver those. So I'll do the axles and put the new lift on there, and all the control arms, and probably the new transfer case too. And as soon as I do that, it'll be stuck sitting in the garage again for a little bit because I'll have to then measure and order a new drive shaft from, I'll probably get the Adams drive shaft. So they custom make them to length, so I'll have to wait for them to make it and ship it. I think they're pretty quick, but I'll be without a drive shaft for a few days. And then once I get that done, I'll have to take it up to a shop and get a full alignment on everything. The transfer case kind of scares me because the skid bolts that hold the skid plate up and hold the transfer case up, one's already broken. My frame is fairly rusty inside, so I know the tops of those bolts where they go into the frame, where they're bolted in, are probably extremely rusty. The one came broken, and the Jeep was totally stock, so I can't imagine anyone try to do anything. I don't know if it got caught on a rock one day or what, but it just makes me a little nervous for the other, I think, 5 bolts. I don't know how easily they'll come out of the frame. Okay, I got it all pieced back together now. Pretty much everything for interior, top, and all of that. It was a struggle. I haven't eaten breakfast yet. It's almost 12:30, I think. About 100 degrees out. Feel like I'm about to get heat stroke. Didn't have a hat on. My head's probably sunburnt, and I gotta go to work at 2, so I gotta eat and shower real quick. Just absolutely feel like I'm dying, but I wanted to get this done so I can take it to work tonight. But here's a final quick look at it. I think it looks pretty good, and this isn't even its final form. I still have fenders and, you know, rear fender flares and fenders to do, front fenders, and then the rocker guards. It's gonna look pretty good, but yeah, I like it. Can't wait to see it with the new lift and everything on there as well. But here it is. And this is also, just so you guys know, I might have mentioned it before, this is my preferred way to run it. I take all the windows out, roll up the back window, take the soft uppers. I like to keep the half doors on there, and I like to keep kind of the safari style top up there. Yeah, keeps the sun off me, lets a lot of airflow, feels awesome. If it's not a horribly sunny day like today, which it is, there's absolutely not a cloud in the sky, and the sun is right above my driveway. Miserable. But if it's not horrible like this, I'll flip the sunrider back, or if, you know, I'm feeling real good, I'll drop the whole top down. It only takes a second to drop from here, but this is how I normally like to run it. This is how I ran it in Moab too. You can see a lot like this, stick your head out the side, see your tires, what you're driving over. It's just, it's a good look, and keeps the sun off me. Give you a quick walk around. Ignore the old spare. The rims ran out of stock when I purchased these 4, and a week later I was gonna get the next one in tire, but like I said, they went out of stock, so I haven't bought that yet, but looks really good. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm not a big guy. I weigh like 145 pounds. Those tires are heavy, and they are hard to get on there by myself. All right, I'm gonna have to go back and do a little fancy intro and outros for these, because the last 2 days I got really into it. I saw the finish line in sight. I wanted to drive it, so I just started slamming through, making a little bit of video content here and there, but I'm gonna have to do a little editing magic to make it cohesive and add in intro and outro to them. But thanks for sticking along with me this far. I love it. I think it looks great, and we've got a little bit more to do, and it's gonna look phenomenal. I even quoted some color matching paint, so I might do the hood louver and the new fenders to color match. It'd be about $400 to $500 for a sprayable gallon and some clear coat from Sherwin-Williams. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate the views, the likes, the comments, and the currently 175 followers I have. Didn't expect anyone to really ever follow this. I figure I might get a few comments or views from other TJ owners, but yeah, we're pushing 200 subs, which I know isn't a lot for any real channel, but feels like a lot for me when I was, you know, going months without a single subscriber. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you on the next one.